It's Milan and it's Roma, two really good teams, two top six teams in the Serie A. As we go over to Italy, Milan right now, minus 115 on the money line. This is Sunday at 2:45. So again, you got a Saturday bet and two Sunday bets. Both teams picking up wins earlier this week. Both teams impressing as well. Which side you going to?
Well, as far, I think Milan will win this game, but I wouldn't want to bet on them in this in terms of that. I think my favorite is probably both teams to score at minus 105. Milan have been really poor defensively at times. Roma really have the firepower to combat that, but it hasn't technically translated in the goals so far this season. Only 19 is disappointing. They're really grinding out some results like we saw midweek. Zaniolo and Dybala both came off. They're going to be playing in this one, so I think that's very important to note. They're two of their best creators. So I think that puts them in better position to score. And again, over 2.5 at plus 108. We've seen multiple goals multiple times in these matchups now, and there's tons of creation there. We see Roma lose their fullbacks and Rick Karstrup, who is supposed to go up against Rafael Leao. Rafael Leao is the MVP of this league. He's one of the most informed players. We talked about him during the World Cup. He dominated midweek when I got up at 6:30 and then promptly fell asleep for 15 hours afterwards. This is the type of match that's going to see a lot of creation. The only thing that you could be off on is simply because of the lack of finishing that happens with Milan. And they're really poor at that at times because you see Giroud, he's either on or he's off completely, and it's a very frustrating. He had a hat trick midweek, and of course it's Ochoa, that's a World Cup hero, steps up. It really should have been 8-1 for them, but you're going to see chances created by Milan. It's really going to come down to how many do they take advantage of. But I do think there's at least one, and that's why I'm leaning towards both teams to score 105 just as a straight play, but a little bit plus money at over 2.5 after what we've seen these past few matchups between these sides. I definitely see it. And I will say again, as a Roma money line type of thing, I don't see them going in and getting anything in terms of a win. I do think that they have an opportunity for a draw, but that's just not something I really love. But again, that's at plus 260, and they have a tough time beating top sides. Almost every single time that we've seen Roma in recent years, their lack of not getting into the top four in the Champions League is because they can't beat Milan, they can't beat Inter, they can't beat Juve and all these other top sides. And I think this is the type of match that they have to step up in. But are they fully healthy? Are they capable of pulling this out for 90 minutes? And again, we talk about it, 22 more league matches. They still have Europa League. And they also have Coppa Italia, which is the cup that's starting up next week. So we're really looking at a lot of rotation that Mourinho has to deal with on top of injuries. For me, that's why I don't like Roma in this, but I do like goals.
Yeah, interesting. You talk about the lack of finishing because the defense has certainly been there. I just have some numbers pulled up for both of these teams. Milan has conceded in 6 of his last 8 games at home, but they're averaging or expected goals average at least. I don't know if you're a big XGA guy, but under a goal per game. Roma's has been at around half a goal per game. Then you look at all that and you go, okay, that's a lock for under 2.5. And then you look at the last 4 matches, they've all gone over 2.5. And just, again, something that you mentioned that you can't really put into stats is just big rivalries like this and how much these games mean to both teams, lack of finishing, but also opportunities that are there. So how many chances do you just kind of chalk up to chance and mistakes on both sides? So I think I'm rocking with you. If you're a little less confident, you can go on over 1.5 at minus 280. But at that point, you might as well just put on both teams to score because I'm a lot more confident in both teams to score than I am just 2 goals in general. And, you might as well get that. 1-1 draw plus 600. Crazy or not?
Not crazy. Like I was saying, I could see a result like that. And if there's lack of finishing, I'll say this, though. The reason why I do love the over as well is because of Milan's goalkeeper. First of all, we don't truly know who's starting this Sunday. We just had to sign a goalkeeper that's Colombian from the Paraguayan League to fill in because our current goalkeeper, Ciprian Tatarusanu, because Mike Magnan is out. He's the backup for France. He's probably not going to be back to the Champions League, but he's horrendous. He's awful. I don't think I've seen a worse goalkeeper, and he's played in this matchup before and allowed Roma to get back in the game.
eighth grade from me if you want to see worse goalkeeping. But
Hey, listen, man, you're not getting paid multi-millions to play for one of the biggest teams in the world and
I would
one of
take
the best leagues as well. Hey, but listen, that's kind of where I get scared at in terms of the Milan perspective and why I think there'll be more goals. We're talking about set pieces. Set pieces are lacking. Roma are good at those, and Milan defend those terribly. This guy doesn't know when to jump out and try and get the ball and call out his teammates. And again, we don't know if Devis Vasquez, the player from Paraguay that they signed this weekend, gets a start. He's supposed to be in the country today, and he just got through his bureaucratic issues. That kind
yeah.
of tells you they wanted a deal done that fast, and they want him in as soon as possible. So I would say look out a little bit for lineups like we always do, but I'll be
Mhm.
active on my Twitter in case you can't find anything. I will tell you this though. The 1-1 draw is nothing insane, and a plus 600, that's pretty decent to get at. But again, I think for sure my favorite is both teams to score. Yes.